Okay. I can't see that good, so God gave me an enhanced hearing. No, just easy. Okay. All right, so it's exactly the same as what we were doing previously. In fact, I usually just teach it at one time. It just has a different list. So as soon as you see cube roots, you're thinking about a cube list. Now, you don't have to memorize your cube list. You can make it along the side of your paper anytime. You can make it on a sticky note so you can take it with you as you flip the pages, so you don't always have to be flipping back. I don't care what you do with this list, but you need to make it. So 1 cube is 1, 2 cube is 8, 3 cube is 27. You start to memorize it. 4 cube is 64, 5 cube is 125, 6 cube is 216, 7 cube is 243. 343. Okay, so you have that little list. It's the exact same process. You see the square root, whoa, Nelly. You see the cube root of 54. You look over there in your list and you try to break it up into 2 pieces, one of which has a cube root. What will you choose? 27. So you will put a 27 underneath. 27. You will take the cube root of 27 is a 3. And you will end up with 3, and then you'd have 3 times the cube root of 2. Okay? That's the lesson. So that's what I mean. You could have gone ahead and done some of those questions. We can do a little bit of practice if you want. Trying to convert this cube root of 6,000 to a simplest mixed radical form. The first step. Now, people, I told you this on Friday. I'm going to tell you again. Whether you're going to a mixed or you want an entire, the first step is always the same. What's the first thing you write down, no matter which way we're going? Do you know? Mentioned it once. 2 radical signs. It's the first thing you do every time. I don't care which direction you're moving. So if I'm going to a simplest mix from, what is this called, by the way? What's that one called? Is it just a radical? It's a radical. What kind of radical? Is it mixed? No, what's it called? What's the word? Entire radical. Everything's inside the house, right? That's an entire radical. So if I'm going from an entire to a mixed, 2 radical signs. Now, you know where kids lose marks? Right there. They forget to put, these are cube roots, not square roots. If you give me an answer as a square root and it's supposed to be a cube root, it is not right. I will mark it wrong. Square roots are not the same as cube roots. You know what I'm saying? They're not the same. So put your little 3 in there. Okay, what do you want to choose? Look up your cube list, find the number that would work. What do you have, Hannah? 1,000. Put your 1,000 in the front spot. Your 6 in the back. Whatever comes off the list, put it in the front. What's the cube root of 1,000? 10. Cube root 6. It's just that simple. Just make sure you put the cube root in there. Make sense? Are you confused? You all right? How do you do the next one? Well, you need a different list. I need a 5th list. So here we'll just barely start it. 1 to the 5 is 1. 2 to the 5, who remembers? 32. 32. Is that good enough? It looks like it's good enough. Is 32 going to go into 320? Yes or no? Yes. So let's stop right there. So we're going to make this into 2 radical signs. Put the little 5s in so you don't lose marks. And the first one's going to be a 32. What's the last one? 10. Okay. Is there a 5th root of 32? Yes. So the equivalent of that is a plain old 2. No radicals over it. The 5th root of 32 is 2. And I put my 5th root of 10. Done. Okay? Just like that. So whatever the index is, that's the list you have to create. Okay, whatever. So if that was a 7, I have to go 1 to the 7, 2 to the 7, 3 to the 7, and look for those numbers. Okay, let's go back the other way. What if I got to put it into the entire? What if it's outside and I got to put it in the house? What do we do? Well, think back. When these were square roots, what did we do? So when there was a 7 out front, I needed to put it in the house. How did I put it under there? Do you remember what I did? I squared it with 4, so guess what I'm going to do here? Cube it. Okay. Let me give you an easier question to start with. Let's do this one over here on the side. Let's do that. 4 times the cube root of 2, and you want to make this into an entire radical. Fractions can sometimes be daunting for a second. If you want this to be an entire radical, guess what my first step is? 2 little signs. Do it every time. It doesn't matter which way you're going. Put your little signs in, put your 3's in, put the 2 in. I only have one job. I got to get the 4 into the cube root house without changing its value. It still has to say 4 when I'm done with my calculator. So the cube root of what number is equivalent to 4? Angelina just whispered 64. Do you agree that when you type on your calculator, the cube root of 64, is it the same as 4? Isaiah, you with me? Okay, it's 4. So this is equivalent. So I can use my calculator. I'm not taking them away from you. That's a 64. Everything's the same now. I could type in the first line, I could type in the bottom line, and I would still get the same decimal answer. Make sense, Maya? Do you know how she got 64? How did she get 64, Sophie? Do you know how? Mia, do you know how she got 64? Bailey, do you know how she got to 64? How did she do it?
Just 4 times 4 and that number times 4.
Another 4. So she actually took this 4 and cubed it and stuck it in. So because you have to have something that the operations have to cancel each other. The 64 is actually, okay, look at this. Oh, I'm taking the erase. I don't know if this will make sense. Does that make sense? What's the cube root of 4 cubed? What happens to that? Cubing and the rooting. What happens to those? They cancel and just poof, and all you have left is a 4. That's what you want. Because I can't really change the value. It's got to still be a 4. So you can just cube it and put it under there. Now we'll write it differently. We'll put a 64 on it. Because then I can put this all together and get 128. Y'all in favor? Okay. So you're cubing it, putting a cube root over it, so basically you're doing nothing. That's what you wanted to hear? Do nothing. Learn to do a whole bunch of nothing today. You're not changing the value. The value, you still have the same amount of money in the bank. It just went from being in dollar signs to being in quarters or something. Like I don't know how to help you understand that, but you still have the same amount of money. Just instead of being in $100 bills, now it's in quarters, so the number looks different. Okay? So what do I do if I have a half here? Well, I'm going to cube him when I put him in here, and it's going to be 1 cubed over 2 cubed. Who knows what 2 cubed is? 8. Yeah, you were thinking about 8, right? 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. And I'm just going to keep him coming. And then at the end, I'm going to go 1/8 times 80. What's the answer? Who knows what 1/8 times 80 is? 10, yes. Good. Let's go do some practice. Oh, they're all different kinds right now. Okay. So I have a 2 and I have the 4th root of 3. Okay, I gotta go to an entire radical. First step, do those little things. 2 radical signs, like this. Put little 4's in the top corners right away so you don't forget. The 3 is already in the house, put him in the house. 2 needs to go inside. So the 4th root of 2 is something, right? What would it be? 16. You know how she got that? 2 to the 4th. Got it? So she went 2 to the 4th. I can even show you that step. 2 to the 4th. There. This number here is the exact same as the 2. See, the 4th root and the 4th power actually cancel, go poof. So I'm going to write that down for a second now, but my goal is to get it to look like this. All right, anybody know what 16 times 3 is? 48. My goal was to get entire radical. Stop when it works. I get the 4th root of 48. Do I have an entire radical? Yeah, everything's under the house. It's all entirely in there, and I'm done. You could type on your calculator the 4th root of 48, starting with, then you could do in the original, and it should get the same number. Okay, let's do the fraction, because that's sometimes hard. Entire radical. 2 thingamajiggies. Put the 100 in, put the little cube roots where they belong, and throw 2/5 under there. How do I put a 2/5 under the cube root sign and still get a 2/5? Cube it. Cube the top and cube the bottom individually. What's 2 to the 3rd power? Micah? 8. What's 5 to the 3rd power? 125. Okay. Now, as soon as I have 2 cube roots, I can times them together, and I can put them all together under the radical sign. Ready? Here we go. Little fraction stuff here. Put the 100 over 1. Okay. Go straight across or cancel. I don't care which. What's your go-to method, Courtney? Cancel, what would you use? 25 goes into this one 5 times, into this one 4 times. Right? So I end up with the cube root of 24 over 5. Yeah? Yes or no? What does that mean? Yes, thank you. Yes. Anybody agree? Logan over there. Do you agree with that? Really? No, it isn't. It's wrong. What's wrong?
It's not 24.
It's not 24. What's it supposed to be?
32.
32.
Diana, I put just regular batteries in here. Is this charger mode?
Oh.
Is this yours or would it?
No, Mr. C gave that to me.
This recharger either.
Oh, okay. There, is that better? Yes? Now do you agree? Okay, done deal. Yeah, okay, good to go? Understand? Okay, you have a few questions of homework. Maybe you haven't done, maybe you haven't. Do some homework. You have just under an hour, right? You've got about 40 minutes. 40 minutes to do this. You need to do a few questions from this lesson. Do them again at homework if you have to. Get your practice test done. That's practice test is like your priority. And there is a question on the practice test you don't have to do. Which one was it, Courtney? It was the turning into we didn't do, it was an extension I didn't make you do. Question 8, you can cross off 8. You don't have to do it. It was turning into a fraction of repeating decimal. And I think that's the only question you don't have to do. 8, right.
Okay, good. We won't need to know how to